Without being able to read or to speak well, it's difficult to access your whole world. It's difficult to fill out those unemployment applications, to fill out forms, to read your medication bottles, to talk to your doctors. It goes on and on.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Makisha and Julie. So this is a bit of a special episode of Small Business Big Heart. We are going to be talking to one of our season 5 businesses from Fredonia, New York, from our series, The Small Business Revolution, as well as her expert, Makisha Nation from Teach for America. So Julie LeGros runs Literacy Volunteers, and we wanted to talk a little bit today about how you're moving some of your programming online, and also wanted to get some of Makisha's advice about really thinking through how do we fundraise in this difficult time.
Sure. Well, Literacy Volunteers, we teach adults to read, write, do their math, learn to speak English. And traditionally, our format is meeting one-on-one to work on an individual curriculum with each person. So that means that we're hooking up our tutors and students with technology so that they're able to communicate during this time and work on their lessons.
How hard has that been to equip your tutors, equip your students with the means to do some of this stuff?
Quite honestly, it is very difficult. Not all of our students have internet connections. So we're trying to meet their needs as best we can right now in this, difficult times.
I think many Americans think of internet access as something everyone has. And the complaint right now is, oh, it's so hard to do these classes on Zoom. Whereas for many people, like, Zoom is not an option.
At Teach for America, that continues to be an issue that's getting raised and continues to be something where we're saying, why are we not solving for this more locally at a city level or a community or state level? Because schools are trying to do creative things like, figure out MiFis and things like that to get to students. And it seems like the digital divide is only exacerbating some of the opportunity gaps when it comes to education. But it's really important as we think about what it means in this time period, that what does it mean to support virtual learning? What helps and resources do parents need to have? And then how are we thinking about things like student with differentiated ability or families with low English literacy?
Right. Exactly what Makisha said is that we have children bringing home their schoolwork now and needing to work with their parent, and their parent was just starting to learn English. Our parents that we're able to connect with through distance learning, we're able to even look at the child's homework and be able to have some conversation and help the family work through this, because it's not just that adult who's affected by this, it's their entire family. It impacts your life in every way. Without being able to read or to speak well, it's difficult to access your whole world. It's difficult to be able to go out and fill out those unemployment applications, difficult to fill out forms, to read your medication bottles, to talk to your doctors. It goes on. And it doesn't just affect that individual, the whole family, and then the whole community is part of that.
It's also this idea of how well was normal. If you're really honest with yourself as a community, how well was normal serving your students and your community to begin with before you ever heard of the coronavirus? But understanding the challenge the crisis presents and the opportunity for creativity and collaboration that comes from that to put new things in place that better address the challenges that you're currently dealing with and maybe set you up better for the future. So I think the extent to which we can bring people together and talk about what's working, what's not, and be able to fail quickly and learn new things quickly actually ends up being a better predictor of how a community will be positioned to better succeed coming out of this.
So Julie, I know that historically the United Way and the state have been really avid supporters of you financially. But right now in this time when all of your other kind of fundraising options are starting to wane and it's harder to ask for dollars, right now the need is great. So Makisha, have you seen any kind of creative ways to do fundraising right now in this environment?
I think what can often happen is there's an urgent crisis response, like what's happening in healthcare, what's happening for unemployment. But there's that secondary wave of there were these existing needs in the community already that could potentially be exacerbated. So the opportunity for you to just stay present and say what you're doing around that is really informative. I think trying to figure out the balance between your donor communication, then other things you can do on your social media to keep it present for folks is something that I think could really be helpful. And then maybe the last thing I would say is I recently, for one of our schools, did a virtual fundraiser. And I know at first we're like, how do you actually do that? But they actually had a Zoom call, and then they had a pre-recorded program format, very short, nothing too long, where they had video snippets of, teachers, students talking about their program, talking about some of the new things that they're doing. And then it had like a call to action at the end of it. But they created an environment that was conducive for people engaging.
I think that's an excellent idea. I think I may steal that.
This is what I love, though, in this time, though. I feel like everyone's just like, if I have a solution and other people can do goodness with it, go. Here you go. Like, there's no secrets anymore.
Yeah. It does feel like we have this window in which we can try to accomplish some things that will last. Like, one of the things that I hope for is that coming out of this, we develop this appreciation for nurses is kind of the obvious one. Nurses, doctors, frontline responders. But I think we could, if we work at it, I think we could do the same for teachers, because parents are getting to see how freaking hard it is to teach kids.
Yeah, I think people made the assumption education is something that happens in the building, in the school, and teachers take care of it. And, they're not as present to like, what does it take to kind of manage the emotion of your child when they're trying to learn something they haven't learned before. So I think we're starting to realize just what an essential service, like education in and of itself, and how critical it is to have high quality instructors that actually understand this child development phases and as well as their content knowledge. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to talk to parents about that and talk to our civic leaders about the importance of this issue. I think about the work that Julie's doing as a natural corollary to that in terms of our society is better off when we have more people that can access information, access resources. It impacts their employability and impacts their ability to engage their child. And so anytime that we can talk about the challenge and then talk about what people are doing in the face of that, it helps bring this issue hit home more for so many more people.
Sure. And we're planning that we're going to have a lot more students requesting our services. I can imagine the parent at home who was frustrated that they weren't able to read their child's homework and help them. Same thing with so many people now going on unemployment. They're going to need to work on their skills to be able to reach out and get a different, job. So we're able to help with that too.
We're going to be opening up a GoFundMe page for you as a part of this series. And I think that's part of the call to action is that the need is always here around literacy, but the need will be even greater on the other side of this.
We need to find the ways to help us ride this out because we know our services are needed. We do a pretty good job at them. Our students, they just put their heart and souls into this. But it's a scary time because we're not exactly sure how we're going to get to that other side.
I want you guys to thrive even in the midst of this challenge. I really, truly do. And I think there are folks that when they hear your story and the work that you're trying to do will be moved. Like I was moved from my time in Fredonia in terms of the incredible work that you're doing, Julie.
There was a plea from a hospital in Long Island that they didn't have enough bilingual interpreters. There's so many people down there and they're not able to understand what their doctors are saying or their family can't get the information. And there were just so many at once, there weren't enough interpreters to go around. So I put the information out to our students and right away 3 of them called the hospital and were able to be hooked up. So they're able to have the patient and the doctor communicate. And I was so proud of our students that, oh yeah, I'll help right away. The ones like, I would be honored to help. And it made my heart feel so good as the wonderful people that we have in our program.
Oh my God, you're ready to tune my eyes. That's just incredible that they're able to then be a part of the solution right now. That's really beautiful.
Literacy Volunteers provides critical education to a vulnerable population in their community, and the mission has become even more important due to the pandemic. So please join Deluxe and Flow Studios in donating to their GoFundMe page at the link in this post. And we'll be continuing to interview small business owners who are stepping up for their communities. So check back at deluxe.com/bigheart for more incredible stories. Or send us a story from your hometown. #SmallBusinessBigHeart.